this is Blake at Firing Line Shooting. Today I wanted to talk about the Staccato XC and the new Springfield Prodigy Comp. A buddy of mine and I were talking about this. He always gets the new Gucci stuff from all the different companies, and he said that he had a 4.25 inch Prodigy Comp coming in, and he didn't know if he should get the 5 inch or not, but he thought he might want to carry it, so he did go with the 4.25 inch. I personally have a polymer frame Staccato XC. That's going to be the closest comparison that I have when you're talking about going from like a really Gucci gun like the Staccato XC to a more affordable version like the Prodigy Comp. And so the question is, can something like the Prodigy Comp compare to something of the quality and price of the Staccato XC? So that's some of the stuff we wanted to talk about today, and we didn't get to get a lot of talking done at the range. It was an indoor range, unfortunately. I usually shoot outdoors, so it was super loud in there. At least we'll have some good shooting footage, but even still, everything is so crammed. The shooting footage isn't quite as good as I would have liked for it to be in like an outdoor range where you can set up the tripod on the side and things like that. So be patient with us on the video quality today. As far as shooting and slow motion and all that stuff, I haven't checked all the angles yet, but I am sure that it will at least be very informative for you. Thank you. Hey guys, I always forget to mention this too, but I don't have any sponsors. My friend Ernest had the Prodigy, so he brought that and he paid for our range visits, so I guess in a way you could say that he sponsored this video too. But otherwise, ammo, all the other guns that I test and everything, it all comes out of my pocket. So completely unbiased reviews here. So here we've got the Staccato XC, which we're going to compare against the new Springfield Prodigy Comp. You can see it has that comp built in there, and the XC of course has that one. We're going to be running some different things through it. I've got just regular Blazer 115s, some Syntech 124 training ammo, and some Badlands Jello shots or 147 grains for us to try and see how they compare. All right, so first thing we're going to be shooting through this Prodigy Comp is going to be the regular Blazer 115 grain. Get our first impression here. All right, not too bad. It feels pretty good. 5 slow motion shots. Now we're going to go ahead and do the 115s with the Staccato XC, see how that feels. More in slow-mo. We're going to go ahead and do the same thing with the 124 Syntech training ammo. We'll see how this one goes. So here we're going to go ahead and do 5 more slow motion with the 124s. Go ahead and shoot the Staccato again with the 124 training ammo. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and do 5 more shots in slow motion with the 124 grain training ammo. Now we're going to go to the 147 Badlands Jello shots here. See how that one looks. That one felt really good. And same thing, Badlands Jello shots 147s in slow motion. 147 grain Badlands Jello shots, and we're gonna go ahead and shoot them through the Staccato XC. All right, now we're gonna do 5 slow motion with the Staccato XC Badlands Jello shots. So now we're going to go ahead and shoot these back to back. We've got the Prodigy first, and then we'll switch to the Staccato XC right after. 10 rounds. All right, so we're going to do the same thing here, back to back with the 124 training ammo. So on this one, we're gonna go ahead and do the 147 grain Badlands Jello shots, but we're gonna do all these shots in slow motion. The 124s are so close together that I wanna see how different the 147s are. I've actually seen it in slow motion. All right, so I had the same issue with the P10 before. It has a shorter chamber in the P10, so the Jello shots kind of get hung up a little bit because the nose of the bullet is going into the chamber and sticking right there. The issue is I can't pull it back no matter how hard I try, so we're gonna have to get this thing unstuck off camera, and then we can try again. So with the Prodigy, we did have a little bit of a problem fitting that round into the chamber. Again, I had this issue with the CZ P10, so this didn't get hit or anything. I think that this one just has a shorter chamber, kind of like the P10. Not necessarily an issue, but there may be a couple of different types of ammunition that you have issues with. So we wrapped everything up at the range, and when I left there, I felt good about it. And just my first impressions of shooting it, it was good. The 115 grain, I think that it was an obvious difference between the Staccato XC and the Prodigy. The Staccato XC felt better with the 115s for sure. When we shot the 124s, I actually was surprised at how similar they felt. And then I wanted to try the Badlands Jello shots for 2 reasons. One, because they just feel the best, and I was gonna only do slow motion video when I actually compared them like right back to back. And because I knew it would feel so good in those guns that I wanted to really be able to feel a difference if there was a difference. The other reason is because the Badlands Jello shots are amazing for competition. However, I have had issues with them in other guns, more specifically the CZ P10C that I have. After talking to Badlands and hearing from others about their CZs, it turns out that CZ does a little bit narrower, or not narrower, but shorter chambers. So when that bullet goes up into there and tries to seat, the corners of those bullets are hitting the sides of the chamber, and it's kind of getting stuck right there. Unfortunately, I didn't think we'd have problems with the Prodigy as far as that goes, but we did. So the same exact thing happened in the CZ. You try to shoot it, you can chamber it maybe the first time, and then you shoot it a couple of times, and then it gets stuck. Like the bullet gets stuck in there, the slide tries to go forward, and then all of a sudden your gun's all stuck together, locked up. Then you have to go pull the the slide and do like this with the optic on the table or something. And so we were having to do that to try and get it unstuck. Maybe this isn't necessarily a flaw with the Prodigy. It might be just an ammo thing. They said that their other type of ammo, what was it called? They have the Jello shots, and then they have some other type that's also 147 grain, but the bullet shape is just different. And they said that that one probably would work, but I haven't tried it yet. So the only con that we had was using it with the Badlands ammunition. After that, we tried the Federal Syntech in there, and everything went smoothly. Federal Syntech is 150 grain, and I guess that the Ojai with the bullet just happens to be at enough of an angle where it doesn't cause those malfunctions. But these are things that we're having to look at with the Prodigy. If it can't run every single type of ammo that you put in it, is it going to be a concern? We didn't try and run different types of hollow points and defensive loads through it. So if it was something that you were thinking about carrying, would you be able to use your carry ammo with it? That would be a big question. Is the aerodynamics of that bullet and the angles of everything going to line up with what you need for self-defense? I would say you need to look at that. You need to try and run some stuff through there and see what it's like if you do. So my final thoughts about shooting it is, with 115s, there's a noticeable difference between the Staccato XC and the Prodigy. There's no doubt about that. But you're talking about, what, a $3,500 difference between the Prodigy Comp and the Staccato XC. $3,500 is a lot of money. That means you could buy 4 Prodigy Comps for the price of one XC. You could buy the 5-inch, you could buy the 4.25-inch to carry, and still have enough money to almost buy another Staccato C2 or something like that. So yes, there's an obvious difference between the Staccato XC and the Prodigy. The question is, could the Prodigy be a plausible substitute for the Staccato XC for somebody who just doesn't have the money or doesn't want to spend the money? Could they still use it to get into the beginnings of competition? Could they use it for self-defense and know that they're going to be able to reliably control the recoil? And the answer to that is yes, especially with the 124 grains and the 147 and 150 grains. The 147s that I did try that weren't the Jello shots, the recoil was good. I mean, more than I would expect it to be for a comped $800, $900 gun. I was very impressed with how well it performed under recoil. To compare it to something else, the Smith & Wesson Carry Comp recently came out, and I was super excited about the Carry Comp because it had a compensator on it, or at least what looked like a compensator built into the front, which is actually just some barrel porting. But I was super excited when that one released. I did another video about that gun and how disappointed I was in its ability to kind of mitigate the recoil for you. After taking that one apart and everything, it's really just a small slit in the top of the barrel that makes it, I guess, give it the name of the comp, but it's not very much that's put into it. With this Prodigy Comp, you have a huge port that's almost similar to like the Staccato XC's comp on the front of it, which is why it does so good with managing that recoil. But yeah, I was very impressed with it. So it is something that I would definitely enjoy shooting, definitely add to my collection if I didn't already have the XC. And even, I would say, to get into the competition for the first time, maybe. I've been shooting the Staccato XC in open, and I'm severely outgunned. I mean, there's people shooting those $8,000 to $10,000 Infinities, the Atlas Chaos, and the custom 2011s that cost between 10 and or 8 to 10K. So I'm outgunned with the Staccato XC. So would you be outgunned with the Prodigy Comp? Yes. There's going to be people with better guns than you who are shooting better than you. But a lot of times it is about the shooter and not the gun. So could you be so good with the Staccato XC or a Prodigy Comp that you're beating people with those super expensive guns because you're at a higher skill level? Yes. But more than likely, I would say that if you got more serious about competing with a Prodigy Comp, you would probably move up to a Staccato XC or skip the Staccato XC completely and go to an Atlas or an Infinity gun that was made for open. I'm also interested in Bull Armory's Ultimate Racer. that Humble Marksman always talks about. That one would be a really good open gun to start off with also. That's at a lot closer point to the Staccato XC. So maybe you would go from the Prodigy Comp to the Staccato XC. But if the question is it as good as the Staccato XC? No. But is it a better value for the money? I would say yes. Again, we talked about how huge of a difference the prices are from the Staccato XC to the Prodigy Comp. With that humongous difference in price, I would expect there to be a much bigger difference in the way that it feels and everything than there is. So for somebody who doesn't have a lot of money or doesn't want to spend a lot of money, is the Prodigy Comp a good way to go if you don't want to spend Staccato XC money? The answer is yes. Maybe you agree with me, maybe you don't. Maybe you have more questions about what our experience was at the range. Either way, I'd love for you to type something out in the comments. Let me respond to it. We can possibly debate some things, but mainly I just want to hear different perspectives. My opinion isn't going to be what everybody else in the world shares. I've learned that so much in different gun forums and everything, that things feel different. People see things differently. So really, I'd just like to talk about some of those things. If you have experience with the Prodigy Comp, let me know in the comments what you thought about it. If you agree with what I'm saying, if you have some differences on what you would say about it, please let me know. I do want to hear from you, and thanks for watching.